Hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 of Metacast, our podcast all about Medabots. Today with us we have Lisa J, who played the budding reporter for the school newspaper, Erika in Medabots. How you doing?
That's me. How are you, Grady?
I'm good. Uh, so for Medabots, what was your experience, I guess, recording lines for Erika?
Fun, fun, fun. Like it was great. I didn't know that it would even reach y'all in New Zealand. I think that's amazing. I had like when I go into things, I just do it because like I've auditioned, I got cast, and I love anime. Like at that time, I was big ups on Sailor Moon and stuff like that, right? So to be cast in another like anime, I was stoked about it. But going in, I think the most challenging part would be to fit all of those long diatribes that Erika, it was spelled Erika. At first, like, and that like Erica would have to fit into like 3 seconds of airtime. So I'd be having my script. And what I learned from doing dubbing before is like pretty much know your lines before you go into the session because you've got the dubbing screen right up here, and then they'll go 3, 2, 1 in your ear, and then you just have to like somehow look at your script and your lines and match the wording. So from like previous dubbing experiences, I pretty much would memorize my lines before I went inside. So because like it's a lot of like up and down, I would leave with like headaches, but it was fun.
Do you enjoy, I guess, doing the dubbing stuff or the straight up cartoon stuff more than?
Oh my gosh, I've never even thought about that. That is such a good question. I don't mind. I think the dubbing stuff, even though it has more challenges because you have to match, and like sometimes there was one time I had to do like 8 takes. Like it was the one where she's describing the meatball, like early on. She's like, "Oh, this wonderful meatball with the mushrooms and the blah, 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 blah." And it's like, okay, take number 8 because but for me it's fun because I get to see the characters and I get to see like the finished product, and then you just add your voice. It's like it adds a it's a lot more easier to bring my character to life when I can see and match it, but it's a lot more skill wise harder. So I would have to say original cartoon. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Um, with either of them, do you go back and watch the shows after they've finished putting your voice into them and they air?
I'll only watch like if we're in the studio and they're like, okay, come and watch this, like it matched up, or like you'll do the playback and it's like, okay, see the voice doesn't match there, and then no, I never watched anything except for like the first series I did when I was like a young girl, and then I learned like I don't like watching things back because I'll be like, that sucked. Oh, you sound like an idiot there. So I was like, no, no more listening back. But like in studio and stuff, like I'll watch things back to see how I could improve it. So yeah.
Uh, as Erika, did you have any particular lines or scenes that you remember as you had a lot of fun recording?
hmm I really liked like that one clear example I gave you, even though it was like probably like the hardest day at work. Like I'm not gonna fool you. Like it's not I'm not solving like the world's problems, you know what I mean? So like the hardest day at work was one of those things that stand out as a lot of fun because we were like, how are we gonna get all of this dialogue? I wish I was like more prepared. I apologize, Metabot New Zealand fans, but like it's that episode where she's describing this like I think like it's like octopus ball, like dim sum. Like
Mm.
she's describing her dim sum, and it was like, and so we all had a laugh because it's like, oh, the writer. It's like wall to wall dialogue because I think they're afraid more with dubbing of like there being like open mouths. It's like
Mhm.
nothing's coming out, so they're like, let's cram as much dialogue as we can in there. And so that one was really fun for me. And then there was a couple times I think I forget who his name is. John, one of the other guys, and he was always cracking us up. Like the parts that were fun for me is because the studio was at this place like Queen and Sherburne, and there was like a donut shop across, and so like some people wouldn't finish recording, and so I'd show up and I could like listen and like see how like the engineers like doing the soundboard, and then like hearing the director, and then hearing like the other actor inside. Like I loved that when like we would cross over times, and like you get to have a laugh and you get to meet the people who are also bringing like these characters to life. So there wasn't really like one specific besides that dim sum thing where we all had a laugh, and we were like cutting pieces out and like, okay, what word can we reword? And you also have to respect the writers who did the translating. um oh, one other one's gonna pop into my mind. I'll tell you in that in a second. But like crossing over and seeing like your mates and stuff like, so I would just say generally, like I had a really good time. Like Medabots, I jumped on the chance to speak with you because it's like it was one of like my most unsung favorite shows to work on.
Hmm.
The other one that was a lot of fun that I learned is apparently they had to blur a lot of things out. I didn't know that because like the Japan animators like of the like original. So they're like, "Did you catch that? Did you see that?" I was like, "Huh?" They're like, "That was blurred because like there was like some hardcore like weapons, and they would have to blur it for a Canadian TV."
Hmm.
I didn't know that. So I learned a lot. Everything's a learning experience. I would just say generally it was fun, fun, fun. Hmm.
Um, talk about a bit of crossover and meeting your castmates and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. I think you've done a couple conventions as well after the fact. I know there was at least one with Joe Moteki.
Yeah.
Is it fun, I guess, getting the gang back together and meeting them
Hmm.
back up again?
Joe and I are actually personal friends. Like he so yeah, Joe is like a personal friend of mine. And like we would our social circles even in Toronto would cross paths, and you wouldn't think of it like, oh, this is a guy who hosts a children's show, and now he's the starring voice of the Saturday morning cartoon. Then you see me and you're like, okay, she grew up doing kids work, and no, 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 but we would hit the clubs like, and he's quite astonished at like, he is like a hip hop head. If you ever, I could see if he, I don't know, has he been on your show yet?
He hasn't. He's currently filming something, so we're waiting for some free time.
Oh, okay, cool. So you've been in touch with it, but like, and like, I'm astonished at his hip hop intellectual like knowledge, and he's just as much impressed as my dance hall. Like I'm a huge dance hall. I was raised with like DJs and spitters, and like we would just do that. Like that's my youth. And so when we would see each other in the clubs, it was always a good time. Never on a recording day though, but like yeah. um he's amazing, amazing artist and amazing person.
um, when you've gone to conventions like that, have you ever been
Mm,
surprised, I guess, by who shows up to meet you sort of as a fan? It's like, oh, wow, I didn't think you'd watch these sort of
yeah.
shows or anything like that.
Well, first of all, that was my first convention ever. And I would rather just be like, go, like, here, guys, anybody interested? Let's go have coffee or whatever. I don't think like a convention thing is for me.
Okay.
It's too formal. I feel like I was gonna say rips the people. I think it deprives the fans who go there, who save so much money. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Who like the real fans who come out, I was like, oh my God, it puts me face to face with reality. Like I just did back in the day, we didn't have like conventions. It wasn't cool to like anime. Like I love the youthful generation now. Like it's so much more inclusive about things. And so like when I went to this convention, I was like, oh my God, it's putting face to face. I was like, y'all don't even have to pay a ticket to meet me. Like I would rather just like have coffee and stuff. And I actually keep in touch with the people that I've met there. Was I surprised to meet some of them? No, because they reminded me of myself. Like I'm an avid. I went to a Sailor Moon convention and I was like geeking out over there, and like I just appreciate it. I appreciate the fans because I am a fan of other anime myself. So no, I wasn't surprised at all. I'm just glad that I keep in touch with many of them to this day. So I'm glad it put me in touch with them there.
Yeah. So for Medabots, you voiced it for or Erika for the first section of Medabots, and then for Medabots Spirits,
Mm,
Bryn came on.
yeah.
Can you explain to us a little bit what happened there?
Okay. No drama, no tea, no nothing, no negative. Bryn is my girl. Bryn is an ally. I at that time I was heavy up. I was on council in our union, like I am a rank and file like boss. I was on national like inclusion initiatives and that time. And then but Bryn is like she's such a talented lady and she's also such a wonderful person. She started up her own committee with another friend of ours, a mutual friend named Eli, and they started the youth and entertainment, or I don't know, but like to start up an own committee to like give credit and acknowledgement to other young artists out there. Like that's who Bryn is. Um, I don't have a personal relationship with her, but I mean, like, boy, when we see each other, it's like, hey, Bryn, and she's like, hey, Lee, and I'm glad it went to her because I mean, I never watched Medabots Spirits. I'm so sorry. I'm probably letting all your fans down right now, but I just got to keep it like 100. I'm not going to lie and be like, oh, this is to come across good. But like, no, I never watched it, but I'm sure she did a good job. The reason why I didn't come back was um, at that time I had an opportunity to pursue theater training at Stella Adler's in New York City. And unfortunately, my heart is in the theater and I couldn't pass up a poor girl like me could not pass up like getting a scholarship to study in New York City. So I'm glad that Bryn had it. And I hope like you guys love her as much as I do.
Yeah, I
And I'm
think it was.
sorry if anybody's mad at me for not coming back. They did. It's not like there's no drama, nothing. I love the producers. I love Dee Shipley. She's the voice director. I don't know if she went on to do the voice directing for Spirits, but like I love Dee Shipley. I love Joanna Veticola. I love Joseph. I love all of the stars and stuff like that. But like if I was gonna hand it off to anybody and just be like, go with the child, it would be Bryn McCauley.
Mhm.
So
Um, yeah, you talk about doing, I guess, so many other things as well as your voice acting. How was, I guess, balancing that
hard.
during your times? Yeah.
How do you know that? That's good. That's awesome. It's hard. Um, well, do you want to talk about what I told you in like the DMs?
Yeah, we can go with that.
Okay. It's like that. It's like so I started like an actor's life, like if you pursue it full time, you never know where your next meal ticket's gonna come from. And even if you do have a meal ticket, like I was so blessed to have like a weekly gig with Medabots, you know what I'm saying? But like in the back of every artist's head who has like a contract is like, oh, I didn't even know if we were going to go into second season until it came out and it was a success and everything. So I'm not gonna be like, this is gonna be a success, bro. It's gonna be great, and I'm gonna come back for a second, third season, and I'm gonna no. So I wasn't sure that we were gonna go into second season, and I started studying in New York City, and I would have to my slot to record was every Monday morning. And so I was like, okay, so I'm going to sign up for this class in New York City. And it's on Sunday nights. And so I rented a car with my mom's, drove down there, took the class on Sunday night. And I was like in the car on the way back to Toronto so I could be there on time at 9 a.m. at the studio to record. On top of that, it's like, yeah, you've got money coming in from it, but it's just like it's not forever money. It's not steady money, you know? And I was like young at the time. I was like 20 and stuff. And so like you it's I don't know how to answer this question. Like it's just such a loaded question. It's hard. You're studying, you're you don't know what the future holds. You don't know if you're gonna make it, you know? Like even just to get Medabots, like I was lucky, and like it's like a lot of luck in this industry. So it's just like you can't always rely on that luck and be like, "Oh, I'm just going to get cast in another thing or this and that." So like you got to kind of like spread your octopus arms, your tentacles, and like you got to keep up with like I had mid year's job because I knew that my auditions and my bookings were always going to be like 9 to 5 unless it was like on screen and you're like working 18-hour days. So then there goes the cashier job. You got to
Mm.
pick and choose, like, am I going to get on this like one episode thing that's on the same day I have to show up and bag groceries? No, you're going to let the groceries go. But then that episode that you quit your job for, that's over. So now what do? You got to go out and you got to hustle and you got to find another like survival job. We call it survival job in the industry. So like how to juggle all of that is hard, but if you're good with time management and you're good with like walking away from things that helped you survive from acting job to acting job, like it's not easy to do that. There's a lot of fear. If you're okay with like facing a lot of fear, I think like this industry is good for you.
Mm.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to juggle all of that, especially like when I was kid acting and school. My teachers hated me. Fail. Holy crow. You got to really think hard. But you know what? If you could, like, I have arthritis, right? If you could be like a bartender at night or a waiter at night or a busboy at night, and you really, really are passionate about this, and this is your calling, I would never dissuade anybody from at least trying. Like, I don't
Mm.
want to make it sound so hard, like, oh my God, like, don't do it. No, if you really want to do it and your passion is in this, do it.
Mm.
Mhm.
I guess that's a good time to segue there with your move afterwards into Los Angeles to do more stage and more film and
Yeah.
sort of champion the inclusion side of things. So can
Yeah.
you talk about, I guess, the transition over that way?
Okay. So didn't come back from oh wow, I'm realizing like how pivotal like Medabots was in my overall like life choices because at that time the reason why I didn't I chose not to return to Medabots was to pursue Stella Adler's New York. And at that time, I told you, like, I knew Bryn from like
Mm.
being in the unions and like being like chairwoman. I'm not chairwoman, like on the chair on the council and like on the national councils and stuff. So I was heavy into like inclusion. And then this opportunity to study in Los Angeles came up and it took me like 2 years to decide. I know that's like a silly amount of time, but like when you built up like a big resume in like one city and you're like, okay, I'm gonna leave all of this behind. Like so many people were mad at me, but I'm glad I did it. Like I
Mm.
do look back on it, I was like, did I make the biggest mistake of my life? Like I could have like had like mortgage like paid if I stayed in Toronto. Like I gave up like gigs to what first to go to Los Angeles, and then when I came back I had like the travel bug and I wanted to go and live in Cuba. So I went to live in Cuba and I gave up another like my agent at that time, God bless her, love her, Sandy Newton, like she she's like I can't. So um I bit the bullet. I faced my fears, did a lot of crying, did a lot of apologizing, and I went to LA and it was kind of like divine timing because at that time there was like this big huge initiative going on with like their unions down there, and then I was the point person to like bridge the information between our union here in Toronto, and then I would attend meetings every Tuesday on the same block as my acting school and theater on Hollywood Boulevard. So yeah, saying goodbye to Metabots actually led me on to like that career move in Los Angeles. I'm having like an epiphany. I didn't realize like how connected life can be, you know?
Mm.
I don't know if I'm answering your question. If I'm not answering your questions,
No, it's
like
all right.
just be like, Lisa. No, that's not what I asked you. This is what I'm asking you. Tell me.
No, it seems like you've had a very, I guess, hectic life and career in terms of moving here and moving there, and it's an interesting story, I guess, compared to potentially some other voice actors who are more sort of the lifers. They'll just stay in the one place and they'll just always record here. It's a different career.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that I think is why it took me like 2 bloody years to decide, do I want to do that? Because you're right, like I was giving up security. I was giving up like I was going to the union meetings like once a month. My membership voted me in. Like I had to face a lot of music. I said goodbye to like at that time it was like 17 plus years relationships to people in the industry. I turned down like what actor turns down like regular work, and then but I based it on this because I grew up sick. And I think like in the back of my head, the reason why I did it all when I could and what I could, like you said, it was hectic because I think in the back of my mind was like, I don't know like how long I could like
Mm.
maintain this physically. So I wrote out a list of things that I really wanted to do in my life. And one was travel, one was study, like just study, because I'd never just gone to school. I was going to school and working, you
Mm.
know? And then I have this like debilitating illness. So I really, really did pray, meditate, whatever. I pondered for 2 years. And I did make that decision to pursue this hectic life because it's not so much like acting for me is straight up, it ain't about the money and it ain't about the consistency. So I think that's what kind of made it easier for me to make these crazy choices. Um, I came up in like the 90s and stuff as a person who's ethnically ambiguous. So it's not like the roles were being thrown at me either. And
Mm.
then I was also like hiding my illness from the industry, um, which is why I got involved in social justice because I was like, nobody with an illness should be hiding it because they're in fear of not getting an audition and stuff. But like, true enough, at that time when I was in those 2 years, I was like, I came out in the open. I was like, I have rheumatoid arthritis. You guys can deal with it. My phone did stop. And I was like, okay, if this kind of beast can turn its back on me after I have devoted like my time, my integrity, lying about my own truth and stuff, then I can take off from it. And if
Mm.
it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. And so I started doing my own thing because like nobody's going to be loyal to you.
Yeah.
In like nobody's going to be loyal to you. So I think that's where all that hecticness came from. And you know what? I'm glad I did it. I am. I'm glad I didn't stay in one city so I could do like maybe 4 or 5 more shows and like be financially good. I
Mm.
wanted like life, I wanted experience. And it's not so much like what I was looking forward to. For me, my life as a person of color, labels, and a person who is living with an illness and making life work for her. It's more like, what am I going to be leaving behind? You know,
Mm.
and who else can take, if like, even it's so cliche, but even if one other person can be like, hey man, like, you inspired me, then that's more what I'm on this earth to do.
Mm. Just be, I guess, use your stories to
Yeah, my
help out the
life
future.
stories. I hope so. I
I
hope
think
so.
as much as you just said so much about labels, I think
Yeah.
it really helps out because you have such a unique background, whether it is
Mm.
illness or
Yeah.
racial, as you say, mixed race, everything. It's
Yeah.
it sort of is such a wide net of people that you can help out with this sort of stuff.
Aww.
And I think like if you go to your Twitter and stuff like that, there's the articles and stuff like that about all the roles and opportunities that are opening up for people. And I think it's a crazy shift at the moment to be more inclusive all round, everywhere.
I honestly, there was like this whole thing like, millennials, Gen X, Y, Z, what? I was like, I love the youth today. I love the effect that you guys are having. I don't know. I think I'm embracing the change because like you guys are the ones who are doing it. You guys are the ones who are like, no, 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 no. Hold on. Wait a minute. Like, if you guys aren't in the projects and being like, I don't see anybody in this room looking like me making decisions about what we're going to put out there to the masses, you know, then there's like podcasts like this. And I love the day and age that we're living in because somebody can literally be like, I'm feeling like this. I need some support on this. I'm going to Google it and like your podcast might come up. Whoever's podcast might come up. There's so much more like change out there and it's for the good. I don't think it's radical or anything. I think it's necessary.
I guess just before we finish up, rewind it a little bit. Just one other role I also wanted to mention.
Sure.
In Resident Evil 2, a video game role. So I guess how different was recording lines for a video game versus for a television show?
I was really, really young at that time. So I'm going all from remembrance. P.S. Rest in peace, Paul Haddad. I did not know that Leon passed on. So, like, love to him and his fans. I had no idea, like, the scope of what I was getting into. All I knew, again, because my heritage is Japanese, right? Like, it was like that same kind of like pride that I felt with Medabots. I was like, yeah, I'm doing a Japanimation show. And then I was like, yeah, my peeps, you know. So it was like a really proud moment. It was okay. So when you're doing a video game, it was very different from Medabots because there was no like finished product in front of my eyes that I could see. So it was more like the lines are on the page. You go inside your head. You don't have to memorize them like I did with Medabots, and you bring what you can to the character. So it was more like filming. It was more like recording a cartoon, but a lot of like screaming and lots of like. One thing I can say that's different from doing RE2 than like Saturday morning cartoons was like there was depth. There was so much depth to that character. And there was like an emotional intelligence about that character. So I realized I was like, oh, this is not for actors, and it wasn't like, haha, funny, funny. I mean, this is not for like children actors. So like you kind of like go within. I got to use like some of my acting skills, and it was really good. It was really meeting. It was really fun meeting like the people from the Japanese team and everything. It was just like it was a great life experience for me. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And 20 years later, here we are talking about it. I think it's amazing. I still haven't played it. I need to play it.
I'm sure you can track down a copy nowadays.
Okay.
And, play it.
I want to play it. One thing is like there's these people who are I hate the word fan. There's some fams, like family. So like there's some fams out there. I'll say that from now on. There are fams out there that I want to like sit down and play it with. Like, yeah, if I could arrange that, that's what I would love to do. The fans are what made RE2. And like the fact that you and I are talking about that, like it's the fams. So love to everybody who's interested in all this stuff. It blows my mind. Blows my mind.
If anyone wants to get a hold of you on social media or maybe get involved in some of the projects that you're in, do you
Sure.
have links or company names like that you want to share?
Sure. I'm working on a website. Like, I did not know that people wanted to like reach me. I had no idea. So that's why, like, I really, really, I'm not a huge fan of social media. So if I don't get back to you right away, just know eventually I will. And I just dropped my earphone. Hold on one second. I'll keep on talking because I just needed to hear you. You can find me at Crooked Fingers Girl Internet. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. Instagram is honestly like the one I'm on the most. Instagram, and then I've got like a Facebook that I never check, and it's Lisa Jai, Lisa J. Um, and then from there we'll be in touch and whatever. I've got this really crappy YouTube channel. Okay, so this is how my YouTube channel happened. I was in Los Angeles and people were like, hey, people are wondering where you are and this and that. Because at that time it was just like theater, theater, theater. And I'm doing like productions like straight up of like Shakespeare, like Chekhov and stuff like that. And like getting written up in like the Times and like the Weekly over there and stuff like that. So like my mind is not on like this and that. And I was like, holy crow. Like I owe it to people. Like so my friend brought it up on his computer. They're like, yeah, this and that. And I was like, okay. So I incorporated again with like all of my activism about rheumatoid arthritis. So I started this YouTube channel. I would just talk about like my experiences in Los Angeles and like how people like could find me or whatever, and I would talk about rheumatoid arthritis. Like it was like a video diary, right?
Mhm.
No editing, none of this like intros like, hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's just like record, bad lighting, rambling, unscripted, so unprepared, no post editing, anything, and then anything. And it turns out that like people like appreciated that. So if you want to check out my really crappy YouTube channel, like I usually just live stream there, and it's more like a hangout, and that is at Crooked Fingers Girl. So yeah,
Got the branding consistent across all of the
I
places.
know, right? Like, well, with with that, I was just like, it should just be called like Broke and Infamous or Retired Ass Showgirl. It was a toss up. It was a toss up. But then I was like, no, we'll just keep it. I think like the kids are calling it platform the same. I'm so bad at this. Like, give me a play and I'll like rock the crap out of that. Anything like promotion or business, I'm like, nah, stupid.
That's what you
What
hire other
else did
people to do.
I? I know, right? People are like, how are you a producer? I was like, money and other people with skills. So tell me about, can I ask you about your podcast? Sorry to turn the
Yep.
tables. Like, when did you guys start this? And like, I can't believe it. Like, hi, New Zealand. Love you, New Zealand. Like, thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. Like, how did this
It's just,
start?
yeah, I had a crazy thought. Like, we'd been planning for a while, hey, we should do some more podcasts. And then it was, what themes should we do? And
Yeah.
really, it just came down to what did we enjoy the most. And whenever I'm asked
Wow.
about, like, anime, Medabots is up there as, like, top three kind
Really?
of thing. Um,
Oh, awesome. Well, I can't wait till you guys talk to like Joe.
mm,
He
I
will be
expect that
great.
one may go long.
Good, but and then like Dennis Akiyama, the referee.
Hmm.
I don't
Hoping
know how to get in
to
touch
get in
with him.
touch. Yeah. But yeah, we've started up obviously a Medabots one. We've started up a one about Scrubs, a sitcom TV show,
Yeah.
um, and we've always done one about professional wrestling. That's probably our longest run. That's like 8 years long at this point.
Oh my
Um,
gosh,
but yeah,
that
so
is
sort
cool.
of just spread out and try and introduce Medabots to people who haven't seen it, or just spread the word about it. Like I've shown it to my 10-year-old cousin like about a month ago, and he still enjoys it. It still holds up
Really?
for him.
So is
So
it like a kind of like timelessly classic or something like that? It is fun.
hmm.
I love Japanimation. I like anime.
Yeah, I think it's just something about the style and
Yeah,
the humor in it. It's just
exactly. And there's like even though there's like some like tongue-in-cheek humors and
mm,
stuff, like there's a wholesomeness about it, like the animation or something. I don't know. It's like a great escape.
mm.
For like a half an hour you can escape from things. Who else are you guys looking to get on the podcast? Is there Joanna Vanacola? She played the prince.
I think
Uh,
yeah. I've just tried to reach out to pretty much anyone who has an active Twitter account and
mm-hmm.
just try and get replies from people.
Okay.
Always open. Like um, our last guest we had on was like, "Hey, if you want anyone, let me know, and I'll try and get in touch with them and
Yeah, me
everything." It's
too.
pretty much anybody who was involved in
Part
the
of their
show.
show.
Always keen to
Okay.
have on, have a chat.
Well, I think it would be I can't remember the main character's actor's name, but like wow, she was incredible. Like she could for a female to do that prepubescent, you know, boy voice. Wow, that is amazing. Actually, here's a little insider information. I actually auditioned for that, but I am horrible at playing like the boy voice. And so she got hired. She's good. She was good to watch. I appreciated watching her in the studio. It was so many years ago. I can't remember her name. That's so disrespectful. You would think I would come on here a little bit more prepared. But Joanna Benacola is also somebody who played the snooty sort of like rich kid with like the blunt black haircut.
Uh,
So I think I might. I'll see what I can do. But it's good that you got Joe. He's going to be a fun
yeah,
interview.
yeah. We just gotta wait for filming to find a gap in his filming schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Busy boy.
That's good to be busy during these days.
Yeah. Uh, all right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.